6 guys, 3 sports, no leash. This is the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast. Football, hockey, and baseball, the way it's meant to be. Loud, raw, and completely unfiltered.
All right, welcome to episode 5 on the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast. I'm Gary Ray with some very, very entertaining guests tonight. We thought we would do things a little bit differently, given that the Blue Jays have broken everybody's hearts. We got to talk about that. But we've got a special guest on here tonight, Rhett Chessell, son of our Lincoln's correspondent, Chris Chessell. Rhettster's the only Dodger fan that was in the whole group, so we thought we'd want to get his opinion on some things. But I'll just go around the horn introducing everyone. We got Ian Shank, Dave Graff, Chris Chessell, and Rhett Chessell. Rhett, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Razor.
All right, well, I was talking to your mom, Julie, and I was asking her if your clothes still smell like champagne after all the celebration on Saturday night. So,
yeah.
My goodness, talk about ups and downs and everything in between. Just kind of take us on your wild ride. You must have felt like you were on an island during this whole series, surrounded by Jays fans.
Yeah, it was something. I was getting chirped. Every day at school, especially after game 1. I was getting chirped pretty good, but we got the last laugh, and what a series, man.
Well, game 1, the Jays win, so your buddies are chirping you.
Yep.
After game 3, you're ahead. The Dodgers are up 2-1, so you're in the driver's seat.
Mm-hmm.
But then all of a sudden, after game 5, coming back to Toronto for potentially game 6 and 7, you're on that island again, so your phone must have been blowing up with all your buddies mocking you, no?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
Well, like you said, you got the last laugh, but congrats on the miracle at the Rogers Center. I got to admit,
I'm shocked we even won. I'm shocked.
But hey, you know what? They chipped away at the Jays, and they found a way to come back and break everyone in southwestern Ontario's heart. Well, actually, across Canada's hearts.
Yeah.
As much as we'd hate to give it to your Dodgers, Rhettster, back-to-back, 3 of the last 6 championships.
Yep.
You got to give credit where it's due. Like, what do you see in the Dodgers that the rest of us are missing?
Well, I see is that our bullpen was better than the Jays in the last 2 games. Especially in game 3, I thought our bullpen was really good. Will Klein, who you probably never heard of before, came in, threw 4 innings and 70 pitches and won us the game. And I can't say enough about Justin Robleski, Clayton Kershaw getting that huge out in game 3 against Nathan Lucas. But I really got to give it to Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Wow.
Yeah, talk about game savers for relievers. Like, he goes from throwing 96 pitches there in game 6,
and
then he comes in and comes out of the bullpen to finish it off in game 7, and just the guy was lights out. And I got to admit, like, I hadn't seen a lot of Yamamoto, but he was all that was advertised. The one thing that I did remember, being a Yankees fan, I heard the Yankees had offered him $325 million, I think, over 12 years, but for some reason he settled on your Dodgers at $300 million over 10 years. Maybe because it was closer to Japan, maybe because Ohtani was there.
Yeah, I think it was probably just Ohtani and Sasaki, and they were there. So
yeah, so he had a lot of countrymen there, but just unbelievable.
Yeah, it was one hell of a series.
Guys, what did you guys see? We'll start with you, Shanker. Like, what did you see with the Dodgers that maybe you hadn't seen before? Like we don't see a lot of them with them being out on the West Coast. What impressed you about the Dodgers?
I have to give my cap to Dave Roberts for putting Rojas in the lineup in Game 6 and Game 7, and him later on putting defensive substitutions in, and it came back to bite the Jays in the butt. Like, I don't know. I think Dave Roberts outmanaged Schneider.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of talk about. Oh, there is a lot of talk about that. And Graffer, what did you see with the Dodgers that a lot of Jays fans and people here on the East Coast hadn't seen before?
Well, I'll elaborate on what Shanker just said, to the point where I'll disagree a little bit that Schneider got outmanaged, but I think there was a perception maybe early on that Schneider might be the better manager. Obviously, that didn't turn out. I'm not saying Schneider got outmanaged, but he certainly wasn't the better manager either. I mean, I think there's 2 or 3 ways a manager looks good. And one of those is strategic decisions, like when he put Page in the middle of the inning defensively, he catches that Clement ball. And, another way is hunches. And he had a hunch with Rojas, and he went with them. Guy that's been a role bench player probably the whole playoffs, right? And, sometimes a hunch works and makes you look good. Whereas Schneider maybe had some chances during all of those missed Jays opportunities. Varsho up with the bases loaded, 0 for his last 9, left 12 guys on, best bunter on the Blue Jays. Does he try to safety squeeze or suicide? Probably not. But does he try to bunt for a base hit, something outside the box? Because he wasn't doing it. He was 0 for 10, I think, in the last 2 games and left 13 guys on base.
And that's what we were texting in the group chat, right?
Yeah.
Now's the perfect time for a suicide squeeze, right? He's not swinging the bat.
Yeah.
The best and
the lead off, you can say you don't want to get doubled off in the lead off, but it's a left-handed batter that's lined out once in 1,800 hard hit balls to third base. I mean, they might not have that at their fingertips at the time, but he needs to be more than 7 feet off the bag. Hall's youth coach third base a lot. You might argue with me, but I think he needs to be a couple feet further off with his secondary to score on that play. Well, I still think he gets back to third on a hard hit ball. And as far as getting backdoored, the ball's not hit on the ground. If it's swung through or it's popped up, you're back to the bag.
And Muncy was playing like 5 feet off the bag once the pitch was released. So he easily could have got 2 or 3 feet down the line more.
Yeah. I know they were concerned about the double off and stuff, but I don't think that was a threat.
Well, it's like we had talked about, especially in Game 6 to end the game when Barger got picked off second there. And I've been reading reports today, guys coming to IKF's defense saying that it actually was Schneider and the rest of the coaching group telling them, don't stray far from the base. We don't want to get picked off again. And so he was only doing what he was instructed to. And I get it, right? Like that was an embarrassing way to end Game 6. And but Barger was, you look at it and you're going, okay, in Game 6, maybe they were being a little over aggressive. And in Game 7, they were being a little bit too under aggressive. Halls, what did you see, and what were your thoughts about the Dodgers?
Well, I'm not sure I saw a lot of surprises with the Dodgers. The only real thing that I saw is that I thought Roberts managed his team marvelously. I don't think it was the case. I'm not sure I agree with Shanker about an out-managing situation. I thought Schneider did a good job, but I think you have to understand that not a lot of this stuff is the manager's decision anymore. A lot of it boils down to the analytics department telling them what you're going to do in a situation, and these are the percentages. And the manager sometimes will go off script, but not very often. And so I'm just really impressed with Roberts and the fact that he could do what he wanted to do. I thought that, to answer what Graffer said earlier about the third base situation there, we have a general rule where I want you one step closer to the base than the third baseman. So you're back one on a line drive. That's your biggest fear. Number one, you got to be on a back pick. You got to be there before the third baseman gets there. And number two, on a line drive, same thing. So your lead should be commensurate to wherever the third baseman is playing. You should be one step closer than he is. The other thing that I really like to do at third base is to actually do what they were doing, to go with a very conservative lead and then be moving on the pitch. So I don't want you, a lot of times guys will get their secondary lead and they're just going to bounce. But what I want them to do is I want them to be close so that when the pitch goes, he is moving. And if you watch that replay real close, he was moving when the pitch went. And that's what I want out of my guys in that situation. When the third baseman is somewhat close to the bag, I want you close to the bag and then moving with the pitch so that you're not going bounce. You're in full motion at the time. I mean, Rojas made a great play. It was, if it's 1 foot maybe to his right, it gets through, or he doesn't get the throw off or what have you. It was just a situation where Rojas made a great play, gained his balance, made a strong throw, got the out. I don't think you can really look much further than that.
It just seemed like all the breaks seemed to go LA's way, and I'm not taking anything away from them because, like I said earlier, you're not a 3-time champ in 6 years and back to back for no reason. You guys are doing a lot of things right. They got a star-studded team. When certain guys weren't producing, like Freddie Freeman, Ohtani, after Game 3, they really didn't produce a whole lot. And then you had their Kiki Hernandez and Muncie's and Rojas and Yamamoto's, all those guys, like they are like the Jays. They are a team. And when one guy was faltering, it seemed like another guy on the Dodgers picked him up. But Chess, what did you find? You're under the same roof as the Dodgers and Lincoln superfan. What was it like under that roof the past week and a half?
Well, it's been far from boring. It's been very entertaining. I'm pretty familiar with the Dodgers, because of Rhett. We do watch a lot of their games. So again, like Halser said, I wasn't really surprised with what I saw. We all knew they were a super good team. I think biggest surprise was they batted about 203 for the playoffs or for the World Series, and they still found a way to win, which I think it's hard to believe, and we'll get into more of that. And that the reason for a lot of that is on the other side of the page here when we talk about the Blue Jays. But yeah, as far as the Dodgers go, to be able to pull that off with that kind of batting average just goes to show you, though, it just takes a little bit of pop, right? They got the big home runs when they needed them. We didn't. And Bob's your uncle. Hey, Rhett?
Yeah.
Well, it was very exciting, I gotta say. I just feel bad for not only Hoffman. Like Hoffman feels like he's just died on a sword, but before it got to him, Savage gave up that one to Muncie. That put him within one. Hoffman gave up the tying one, and then Bieber gave up the winner to Will Smith. And so, I applaud Hoffman for standing up and answering the tough questions, but by no means was it his fault. There was a lot of things that went wrong before he gave up the tying one. But man, oh man, what an exciting series! It took me back, Rhett. This is before you were born, but guys, chime in. But it reminded me of like the spring of '93 with the Leafs, where every night, like with Gilmore and Clark and Felix and the first round they're playing Detroit and they go to 7 and Nicky Borshevsky scores the winner, and then they get into round 2 against St. Louis and Cujo and they go 7 games with them, and then they get into the conference championship against Gretzky and the Kings, and it was like every night you were talking to your buddies going, where are we watching the game tonight? And that's what this was like. It was like, hey man, and all of us were texting and always talking and being the armchair GMs and stuff. And it was just an exciting time. And it's unfortunate that the Cinderella story had to come to an end for Blue Jays fans. But guys like you, Rhett, can smile for another year and
Yep.
enjoy that championship. Did you watch any of the parade today, or?
I saw clips, but we're looking for a three-peat. We're looking to cement history, and
Of course you are.
I would love a 2026 rematch between the Jays and Blue
Wouldn't
Jays,
that be
between the
something?
Dodgers and Blue Jays, and I'm looking forward to watching those two in the regular season. But Now free agency is coming up, so I think the Dodgers are going to make a move for Kyle Tucker, spend more money, which you guys don't like, and we're going to continue to ruin baseball, and I love it.
Hey, Rhett.
Well, I don't know if you saw the posting that I put on our stories on social media for Unmuzzled, but a lot of the guys that have come to the Dodgers, other teams had the chances of signing him, like
Yep.
Freeman. Atlanta didn't want to pay it. It went through the whole list. You'd be able to rhyme them off
Yep.
better than I would, Rhett. But
Yep.
it there's no salary cap, and I'm
Yep.
not saying that these teams got to try and outspend the Dodgers, but they've had chances to sign these guys, and these owners are choosing profits over anything else. And like, it's an embarrassment what some owners are doing, like the Pittsburgh Pirates and teams like that. But that's a whole other story for
Oh
another
yeah.
podcast. But quickly before we let you go, Rhett, what do you think? You guys don't have a lot of huge free agents coming up. I see you got Muncy. He's on a club option. And then you got Rojas and you got Vesia and Hernandez. Those are the big ones. What do you think? What do you see with the Dodgers re-signing all three of those big names?
Well, I think they'll resign Vesia. I think they'll resign Rojas. I think they'll resign Kike. They got the money, and I think they're gonna want to come back. They want a three-peat, and the Dodgers are gonna sign some big names. I hope some more big names and keep cementing their name in history. And yeah, it's peak time in LA. That's for sure.
Well, it was interesting in the Champagne celebration where they were interviewing. Was it the two Tampa Bay pitchers?
Last now and Snell. Yeah.
Yeah, and Snell, and they were saying, "Hey, if you can't beat them, join them." So
Yeah.
I hate saying that, but like I said, all these teams have had a chance to re-sign their own star players and have chosen for whatever reason not to. But
Yeah.
Rhett, thank you so much for coming on. We
Yep.
appreciate it. We're
Thanks,
looking
Frederick.
forward to having you on in December with your Rhett's review, talking about the GOHL Western Conference teams. And congratulations once again, Rhettster, on enjoying the Dodgers championship.
Thanks, Razor. I appreciate it. And remember, there's always next year.
There sure is. All right, folks.
Go
Rhett
Dodgers and go
Chessell,
Lincolns.
future contributor to the Unmuzzled Sports podcast. So, all right, we'll get rid of Rhett. We're just going to put on some advertisements from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with trending and talking about the Blue Jays.
This trending segment brought to you by Best Western Plus Arden Park Hotel, located at 552 Ontario Street, Stratford, located steps from the Festival Theatre, while offering first-class accommodations with an extensive range of services, including conference center, banquet facilities, and heated indoor pool.
All right, guys, before we start talking about the Jays' view of things, I got to read a tweet that's been going around. You guys have probably already heard it yourselves, but somebody tweeted after the loss Saturday night that Toronto sports is for people that hate themselves. What an aggressive statement, but there's a lot of suffering fans, and it's to be expected when you've got a whole country, 14 million people all cheering on one team versus, like, you look at the map that was on social media, other than LA, North America and most of the world was cheering for the Blue Jays. Like, people are just fed up with having the Dodgers win it, but like we all know, it didn't quite work out that way. But Shanker, what did you think of the Jays? What take us through your thought process with what happened?
Well, I think the best team didn't win the World Series. I thought the Jays were the better team out of all 7 games. and they just didn't have any bounces go their way. Like in baseball, you need a few bounces to go your way, a little bit of luck to go your way. And coming home with Game 6, I thought there's no way the Jays would lose 2 in a row at home. And after Game 6, with that ball getting lodged in the fence, I thought, okay, that's their bad break for the series. They'll be fine in Game 7. But when you leave that many men on scoring position and you can't cash them in, it's sooner or later going to come back to biting in the ass. And I would have brought Bieber in earlier than what they did, but you got to go to a Savage, who's your young horse, who's pitched good. But again, they're hitting, they couldn't get that clutch hit. And it's unfortunate because I wanted to see Toronto win, and I don't like the Dodgers, but I feel Toronto deserved a better fate.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it had a little bit of everything. Like, you couldn't have drawn up a better World Series. The viewership is the highest since 2017. They outdrew 10 million more people for Game 7 Saturday night's World Series than Game 7 of the NBA Finals in last spring. Like, that blew my mind when I
It
saw
was a great World Series. It's one of the best World Series in the last 3-4 years.
Yeah,
Like,
and like it had a little bit of everything. You had the
Yeah.
benches clear. You had like the walk-off home runs. You had extra innings. Like Graffer, there's basically two different views to the World Series that we just saw. You look at the first view, you got the Jays going from worst to first in the ALE, American League East. They had 74 wins last year versus 94 this year. And some can say that they overachieved. And then the other view is that they blew it because they had so many chances and they got nobody to blame but themselves. But which way do you think Jays fans should be looking?
Oh, I think that Jays fans have to look at nothing but positive. I mean, the way it ended was terrible, heartbreaking, but I think it's still a great season. And like I said earlier in an earlier podcast, I had them going 74 and 88 again. I mean, I just didn't see a lot of improvement roster wise or all these big years some guys had and some of the good pitching they got. And, you know, I thought John Schneider's in-game managing was much better than the year before. And they probably didn't give away as many games that way either. They just played a lot better and they deserved everything they got. In the World Series, I think it was, you know, further to what Shanker said, you know, kind of bad breaks and timing, you know, live and die by the long ball. They got beat by the long ball again late in games. Hoffman had some penchant for that in the middle parts of the season and into August and early September. And then he kind of buckled down and was a lot better for the last 4 or 5 weeks. And the biggest thing, missed opportunities. You can't play the LA Dodgers and miss that many opportunities in Game 6 and 7 and be surprised that you lost. You just can't. They're that good. And Shanker's right. The better team probably lost, but you know, bases loaded, nobody out. Ball gets stuck in a wall the night before. Barger's got the play in front of him and still gets doubled off, and Springer's coming up with a base hit to tie the game. And, you know, ifs and buts again, but good for them. Nothing but positives. And hey, to your tweet, if you want to throw these guys in there, you can really
right? Yeah. Us Bills fans all seem to remember the '90s all too well, and wide right, and that was their closest chance at winning. It was the first one there in '90.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we won't give up though. We won't give up.
Sports is why we keep coming back. It's unpredictable. You can have your Netflix subscription. You can watch whatever you want streaming, but that's why sports continuously dominate, because you never know what's going to happen from night to night. The Dodgers lose one game on the road this year. Halser, like Yamamoto, 2 nights in a row, he wins games 2, 6, 7, all on the road. Like, what is it with this guy?
Well, he's an amazing pitcher. That's what's up with him. But I thought in Game 7 he was very average. His velo was down at least 4 miles an hour. His fastball was only 95, 96. He can hit 100 at the best of times. His splitter wasn't sharp, and he got hit, and he was just fortunate that they hit the ball right at people. But, that's baseball. But I'll be honest with you, my takeaway from this is just a reinvigoration of a love of the favorite pastime that I have always followed all my life. Let's look at what actually happened here. Take yourself out the fact that you were cheering for the losing team. There's a guy playing in that game that shouldn't even be playing there. Miguel Rojas. I mean, he is worth a hour's worth of conversation all by himself, this guy. What happened to Miguel Rojas when he went to Toronto? He's playing only because Andy Pages couldn't hit his way out of a wet paper bag. He was 3 for the playoffs, 3 forever. So Robert says, dude, I got to sit you down. And he brings in Rojas, who would never have gotten in a bat otherwise, maybe a pinch hit at bat here and there. And he shows up in game 6 on that play. Was it bad base running by Barger? Yeah, but did anybody catch the in-between hop that Rojas snagged at second base to hang on to that last out of the game 6 and win the game?
Yeah,
and then you get into
Barstow.
game 7, and it's not Ohtani, it's not Smith, it's not Betts, it's not Muncy, it's not Freeman. It's Miguel fucking Rojas hitting a home run off his front foot on a slider low in the 9th inning, 2 outs away from winning. You can talk about missed opportunities and blow it. They were there. As a manager, I'm saying to myself, my team has done everything that we're supposed to do. We're in the 9th. We're up by a run. I got my best guy on the mound. I've got the 8-9 hitters up ahead of the best player on the planet. And you get the first guy, and Miguel Rojas gets
Who shouldn't
fooled on
be
an
scaring
off-speed
anybody.
pitch and knocks it over the fence and wins. And how can you not be romantic about a situation for this guy? This guy's a hero. He's a hero for his team. He's a hero for his family. He's a hero in his hometown. A legend has been made, and it come at a very, very high cost to us J fans. But my God, that was beautiful to watch when you step back and check it out.
Yeah, he really is. Like you think back to how we all felt when Springer had the game 7, winning home run against the Mariners, and then Rojas ends up doing it for the Dodgers. So you're right. Like it's great theatrics. How can you not be romantic about baseball? And for a few years there, people were saying how it was dying. It was becoming an old man sport. It's too slow for the younger generation, Rhett's generation. Cripes, that kid, it's got to be up staying late. If he's watching any of those West Coast games, 82 of them are being out on the West Coast starting at 10 o'clock at night at the earliest, right? So that's great to see, because we all grew up playing the game. And we all loved it, went to the Hiller games at National Stadium, and it's just fun to 30 years later or 32 years later since we all went on that magical ride with the Jays for 2 years back to back to see it all happen all over again for this younger generation. And, you guys with sons, my 2 daughters, they're Arms View fans. They watch it because of their boyfriends, not because of baseball's their first love or anything like that. But you guys watch them with your sons. That must really be special, Chess.
Oh, it is. It is. And I love every minute of it. And, even though 2 of them weren't home, we were still texting through the games and everything else. And Brock was sending me videos of them celebrating and with about 8 other kids in their dorm room and stuff. It's just chaos. But, the memories, it was so close. And I don't have a whole lot different to say than the rest of you guys did. As far as who was a better team, I still think the Dodgers were the better team. They just find a way to get it done. Like you guys said, clutch when they needed to be. It wasn't pretty. Like I said earlier, 200 batting average gets the job done, but they did it at the right time, right? And I will say too, I much like Graffer on an earlier podcast last spring, I said they were going to be a 500 baseball team, right? did not have any inclination of anything close to this happening this season at all. I looked up and down that roster and said, who in the hell is Ernie Clements and some of these other guys? And it was just like,
Barger and
well,
Luther,
Barger wasn't even in the conversation back then, right?
right?
Like we didn't even know who he was, but there's all these other ham and eggers on there, and you're like, this team doesn't scare anybody. A pitching staff that looked like they were all on the wrong side of the fence, on the wrong side of 35, right? And you're just thinking to yourself, I just can't see this happening. And kudos to Halser. He's the only person on God's green earth, I think, that came out and on that same podcast and said they were going to win 94 ball games. I don't know how you did it, Halser, but
Wow, he's
very
a psychic.
impressive.
The guy's an absolute psychic.
Well, I believe I said that game 3 was going to end up 6-5.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but you called the exact score, and you called who was gonna. I think it was, you said that it was gonna be Scherzer pitching a gem or something like that. I'll have to go back and see the reel, but I was going through it, and I'm like, holy shit, he actually called this. And so on our group chat, I sent the reel to everybody and said, hey, you got to give credit where credit's due, because he ended up calling it there the other week. But
Scherzer pitched a gem in Game 7.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
I thought they might have left him in for an extra inning, but he did his job.
I was okay with keeping him in there for another inning, and I was really surprised how quickly they brought in Sir Anthony as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, I think someone mentioned earlier too, they thought Bieber should have maybe came in a bit earlier, but it's so hard looking back now. But all in all, I was talking to Razor a bit on the weekend, and it all came down to the one stat: runners in scoring position. It was absolutely atrocious. The Blue Jays, some of their, like we talked about Varsho briefly, 0 for 9 in one game. Like, you can't have that.
can't have that.
You got Ty France and a couple other guys sitting on that bench. Joey, I don't even know if Joey, I can't say his last name.
Lapafito?
He wasn't on the
Lapafito
roster,
came
I
off
don't
the
think.
roster when
He
he was
wasn't
Yeah,
on the
okay.
roster,
But there's a couple other sticks in that dugout that could have came out and give it a try, because he just had nothing, and you could feel it. I don't think the Dodgers, they wanted him to come up. There was a couple times they walked guys, not intentionally, but they kind of worked around a couple of hitters. They worked around Kirky a couple times to get to him. It's like they're not scared of him.
No.
And and I love Varsho as an outfielder. I will all day long put him in center field all day long.
Gold glove.
It's fantastic to watch, but he's got to work. He's either got to go down to the bottom of that order, or he's got to, have a better, and I don't think he was 100%. I think Halser mentioned he's got a bit of a shoulder or an arm issue, but, when he hits it out of the ballpark, it doesn't look like he has an issue. But, just unbelievable tough luck for him. And, I hope he can bounce back mentally and everything else that comes with it. But all in all,
that
guys.
shoulder, you're right, Jess. That shoulder's not right. It still hasn't been right since he got back.
Yeah.
He missed half the season, and you
Yep.
could tell when he threw the ball. He was throwing the ball. Oh. Well, he looked like me, frankly, throwing the ball. He doesn't. I'm surprised the Dodgers didn't run on him more than they did. Just trying to take an extra base here and there. The only move I didn't like was Savage. I hated that move because unless Bassett's not available, Bassett has been absolute money lights out all through playoffs in the 8th inning. He's been untouchable. He's given up one hit in the 8th inning. And he if he wasn't available, fine. But if he was available, why they would go to Savage and take him out? I get it. Savage, use him, but only if it's tied, goes to extra innings. You need multiple amounts of innings. But Bassett's been money in the 8th inning all through the playoffs. You even moved Dominguez earlier in the game to make room for Bassett. So if he was available, why in the hell wouldn't you use him in the 8th? Because think about it. When that home run goes over and the Rojas home run in the 9th, it's still only 4-3 if Bassett gets through the 8th unscathed instead of the kid who's never pitched in a playoff game in relief and is pitching on an odd number of days rest. I just thought it was not really as tantalizing it is to get that arm in there. I thought it was the wrong time for him.
Well, they brought Bassett in the 6th inning, right? And he struggled a bit. He threw 26 pitches, gave up 2 hits, 1 earned run, and only had 1 strikeout. I thought I wanted him to pitch 2 innings like I texted you guys that night. I said, they need to have him pitch 2 innings, but when he threw 26 pitches, he did look kind of off. So maybe that's why they went to Savage early.
I think too, like it was still fresh in everyone's mind how Savage dominated Game 5, and so I'm sure Schneider's thinking he's my ace in the hole. He's nowhere near like Yamamoto. Like after Game 6, you listen to a lot of the talk show guys and interviewers, and a number of them, the Jays interviewers were saying, wow, like at least we don't got to face him again. Like nobody saw Yamamoto being available the very next night after throwing almost 100 pitches in Game 6. That was the shocker, I thought, of Game 7. And Chess, like you were alluding to, the Dodgers hit 203. They had a 3.95 ERA in the World Series. The Jays, they were 269 and they had a 3.21, but never in a million years. I think people would have bet their mortgages that the Jays were not going to lose both games coming home to Toronto for, and it's just unfortunate that how cruel sports can be. And the baseball gods, like I said earlier, not to take anything away, but when Jimenez hit that screamer to Muncy at third, a foot either way, the run scores. But it went right at him on his glove side. Yeah, he had to react, but there was just that play. And Pages, in left center, smashing into Hernandez, like 9 times out of 10, that ball would have fallen. And just an inning or two earlier, Ernie had hit a ball to the same spot and had a stand-up double. Like it was just everything went the Dodgers' way, and it's hats off to them. They came up with one more bigger play than the Jays did when they needed to. But what do you guys think? You've got free agents coming up. You've got Bassett, who's a UFA. He's 36. You've got Scherzer, who's 41. You've got a team option with Bieber, who's only 30. You've got Bichette, IKF, and Dominguez. Like, is it safe to say that you're basically wanting to deal with Bo before you even consider what goes on and how much money you have with the other guys? Schenker, what do you think?
I read a report today where they don't think Bo's coming back, and then they were saying about how you trade Ernie Clement. His value's high right now. Trade if you can't sign Bo, which you're right. Try to get him out of the way. They're saying trade Ernie Clement for a starter because you're going to lose Bassett. You're going to lose Scherzer. You're probably going to lose Bieber. So you have Savage, but they're saying get rid of Lukes, get rid of Clement, bring in a starter. I don't think Bo's worth the money, but that's what I think.
Graffer, do you think that the Jays realistically have a shot at re-signing most or any of their pitchers, even starting with Bo? Like, what do you think?
Well, I think they got to explore all options with Bo, and if that's not going to be a possibility, they got to move on to the next. Ernie's under team control, I think, for another 4 years. Maybe trading him's an option, but I think he's under control for 4 more. Bieber's a team option, so I think you have to explore that. Yeah. You got to have someone's got to start on the mound for them. Gossman's still under control for what? One more.
Yeah.
So you got Gausman and you Savage for sure. I mean, you got to have 5 starters. So I mean,
and Berrios, he's done.
And you go Scherzer, Bassett, I guess, in that order, depending on how much you're going to spend and if they even want to stay, right? So, but explore Bo first, and once that's done, then I think you got to go down the line with the pitchers, and maybe you do trade Lucas and or Ernie Clement, but you have some good team control with those guys as well. So,
yeah. Halzer, what are your thoughts? If you were in Shapiro and Atkins' spot, what would you do?
I'm not even sure I put a bid on Bo, to be honest. If you look at the numbers, everybody's going to remember the 3-run home run in Game 7. He batted very well, but at the end of the day, the WAR stat is what matters. Wins above replacement. And when he went down for multiple weeks in 2024, the Jays had a better record without him than with him. When he went down in 2025, the Jays had a better record without him than with him. You've got Jimenez at short now, batting in your 9-hole. When I look around, who's left when Bo leaves? I see Barger at third. I see Jimenez at short. I see Clement at second, and I see Vladdy at first, and Kirk behind the plate. You still got Varsho in center. You've got Santander coming back next year. He can hit. I mean, Jays fans, I got to tell you, Jays fans, that dude can actually hit. He has really good at bats. When he gets that power stroke back, he's going to be very important for them. They still have Springer, and Lucas. I don't know why you'd want a Lucas. Whoever says trade Ernie Clement needs to get a lobotomy. Here's a guy who set a new record. He set a new record for hits in the playoffs. He plays 3 different positions, and
that's why they're saying trade him
minimum. And
you got him cheap for 4 more years.
Yeah. So why would you want to send a guy like that who can play all around the infield, give you clutch at bats? And I mean, that dude's not going to have to buy a drink ever in his life in Toronto. 30 hits in the playoffs. He's a hero, for God's sake. You don't trade heroes, man. You give him a little bit of a raise and keep him until as long as you can, because you can't get rid of him. Bassett's making $20 million this year. I'm okay with having Bassett back if he's going to take on the role that he took on in the playoffs. I think he's done as a starter. I think he's going to do what a few pitchers have done over the years and transition into a reliever. And I think he'll add 3 or 4 years to his career. Maybe you bring him back. Maybe you don't. You're right. You need a starter. But at the end of the day, you just won the American League. You just went to the World Series. You got everybody and their brother talking about you. And are you telling me you still can't sign a starting pitcher as a free agent? There's a few good ones out there. I'll have to double check the list, but there's a few good free agent pitchers that are going to be available. Scherzer might give you half the season. That magic. You ever notice when he came back, that thumb magically didn't hurt anymore? That's a guy who's 41 who can't pitch a whole season. So if you're going to get Scherzer back, you don't get him to the All-Star break or later. He only pitched 2 months of the season and looked tired down the stretch. Remember when he looked exhausted? He couldn't get out of the first. But you give him a couple of weeks off, get him rested up, boom, you got him for the playoffs. So I like the team. They need one more bat. I think probably an infielder, maybe a corner infielder gives you another option to put Barger in the outfield. But other than that, I mean, you've got 2 DHs in Springer and Santander. You've got good defense still up the middle, good corner hitters. I think they're ready to go with one more starter, and they've still got some bullpen help back. So I think they're going to be fine next year without Bo, is my point. And I just think they're a better team without Bo because they can reallocate. I mean, what's he going to get? I mean, is it going to be $250, $300 million to get him?
Well, that's what they're saying.
10 years.
They're saying that he made 11.2 this year, and they said the market rate for his stats would be about 23. So let's be realistic, though. I think you're bang on, Halser. I think the starting point's $250 million, and I would bet a whole lot of money that there are teams out there that would give him 300 plus. If you're giving Vladdy 500 million, you've got to think that Bichette's worth 300, at least in my eyes, unless I'm missing something. But you've got a good point.
He can hit, he hits till the cows come home. But
he's a machine.
He's a below average fielder, and he's below average power. Like, he's going to lead the league in hits, and he's going to be hitting really well with runners in scoring position. But at the end of the day, if you've got $25 million to spend, I think it's better spent on someone other than Bo Bichette.
I agree with you. Last year when the Jays were terrible, I remember distinctly they were playing out in San Francisco, and he's sitting on the dugout bench talking to Fox San Francisco, and the interviewer said to him, "Bo, you're going to be a UFA in a year. What sort of ideas are you having? Like, what kind of team would you want to sign with if it isn't the Jays? And I couldn't believe that he came out and actually said to the interviewer, "Oh, I'd like to play for winning organization like the Giants if I ever had a chance." Like, it was just, I get it that he wasn't saying I want to play for the New York Giants. He was just basically. It just sounded like he was checking out on his teammates because, let's face it, like, people that have short memories, the Jays were awful like a year ago. And even in spring training, they got off to a rocky start there in the first month. And then they just sort of turned it around. Like when Bo hit that home run, I think it was in Texas. And that just changed the psyche of the team. And then all of a sudden, everyone started rowing in the same direction. And I read an interesting thing that said that if it wasn't for Lucas's wife having their second or third child, he had to fly home to Arizona. Barger may not have even have had a chance because they ended up bringing him up from Buffalo. And it was the only reason is because Lucas flew home for his child's birth. And Barger just went on such a tear when they brought him up to Toronto that they're going, holy shit, like, we didn't see this guy, coming out of spring training. Like, we can't send him down now. But what are your thoughts, Chess? Like, with signing Bo, what would you do if you were in the GM chair?
Well, I think there's going to be some emotional choices, going to be some hearts broken. Shanker with Ernie Clement, that guy I think will play for the Jays for free. So he's not going anywhere. He's so in love with this team and the teammates and the city. I don't think he's going anywhere. But
Hey, I'm just
on the
telling you what I
opposite end
read
of that,
today.
that's all
Mark
right.
Bowman. Hey, Mark Bowman from MLB.com wrote an article today saying about the Jays should sell high on Clement to bring in assets.
Not yet. Give him a year,
Go after
another
him.
year here, see what happens. But you go to the other end of the spectrum with Bo. How many times did Bo actually look happy for the last 4 or 5 years? You see him sometimes, he just has that look. I don't know. I'm a big guy. I like to read emotion. I like to see how people react. He never ever, other than when he was smiling with Vladdy, he never ever looked that happy. And I think he's got other thoughts in his mind. He thinks he's going to go somewhere else and be a star, whether that's New York or the Giants. But put him in pinstripes. He maybe looks a little thinner. Maybe that'll help him out a little bit too. But I don't know. Bo is a nice, good ball player, absolutely. But I think the Jays can't spend that kind of money on a guy like that. Like you guys have all said, there's guys out there that can come in and make this team a little bit better without blowing it all up. I would love to see Bieber come back as well. I think he'd be pretty high on my list. I wouldn't, like Halser said, I wouldn't waste a whole lot of time on Bo. And let's get another good starter in here, and then let's just shore up that bench a little bit too, right? We can't have, a guy like Varshall's and that. Varshall's going to be your starting center fielder, but if the stick doesn't get better, you got to have a backup plan. And this is 2 or 3 years where Varshall's batted 220, 220, 230 at the most for 3 or 4 seasons in a row. He had a couple years in Arizona like that too. His numbers were never. When he came over, I was like, this guy batted 220. Like, what are we bringing him over here for?
Would you
Great
go after
defense.
a guy like Cody Bellinger from the Yankees? Like, he opted out of his contract with the Yankees. That doesn't mean that he's not going to re-sign with them, but he's another one of these guys. He's a hired gun ever since LA cut him loose. He's signed with the Cubs. He signed with the Yankees. He sounds like he's an open guy, and man, oh man, he's got that sweet left swing. Like, that would look good in a Jays uniform.
Now, they tried to get him a couple of years ago there before he went to the Cubs. Looked like they had him signed, sealed, and delivered, but it fell apart. But I'd be okay with Bellinger too. But all in all, I hope they don't blow it up too much. I think they got a pretty good game plan going here. They just have to tweak a few little things, and they're going to break some hearts. There's going to be all kinds of sad people when Bo goes and everything else. But at the end of the day, we've got everyone interested right now. People are watching this team. You can't go backwards. You cannot go to 65, 70 wins next year. You can't do it.
No,
that's what we've seen a few years ago, right? When they couldn't sign anybody big, that they were winning 60, 70 games and nobody cared. I didn't go to a game for 4 or 5 years. I wasn't giving them my money. Now I'm
Yeah.
interested. Let's keep this going, right?
And to deal with the traffic that you got to deal with now to get down.
That's right. It's not worth it.
It's really not like, and
No,
It's a
so
challenge.
no.
it's you brought up a good point. Do you think it's all of a sudden a lot easier now for guys? Because you keep hearing, oh, I don't want to deal with customs, and every road game's a pain when we fly back into Toronto. And so, do you think it's easier now with the season that they had and the success that they've had? Do you think it's easier to maybe go out and sign free agents this off season?
It should be.
It won't get any easier than it is right now, and it is a bumper crop of free agent starting pitchers this year. This is the winter to be needing pitching, because I mean, everybody from Ranger Suarez to Imanaga to, oh man, Sagano, Zach Gallen. Oh, keep going. There's lots more. Miles Michaelis, Giolito, Nick Martinez, Jordan Montgomery. Look at all those names. Chris Sale's
Framber Valdez.
Framber Valdez, although I don't think you want him after what happened with him and his catcher there, but that's the options. I mean, even if you lose out to the Yankees and the Mets and the Dodgers and the Braves, there's still 5 studs left to sign. So let some of those guys go. You let the Scherzer money go. You let the Bassett money go. You let the Dominguez money go and the Bo money go, and go out and sign yourself a shiny new horse, because you've got contracts expiring. Barrios, you don't know what's going to go on with Barrios. He's got an arm that could put him in the top half of the rotation, but I don't know how much longer they can go back to that. Well, you're set at the top for at least one more year in Gossman and Yasavage. So one more horse will get you through the season real easy.
Well, the odds makers aren't giving the Jays any love at all. For what it's worth, you've got LA as the early favorite at plus 350. You got the Yankees as the second favorite at plus 700. The Jays, they're all the way down at 10th. They're plus 2,000, tied with the Braves and the Padres. Like, you've got the Mariners and you've got teams that Toronto beat ahead of them. Like, talk about Rodney Dangerfield, no respect. Like that, it's mind-boggling how they were 2 outs away from being the world champions to being the 10th ranked team for next year's World Series. But it is what it is. It just unfortunately broke a lot of people's hearts. It was interesting to hear the Oilers talking about it, and McDavid. Like, if a guy could resonate with how the Jays and Vladdy and all of them were feeling, it's Connor McDavid losing the past 2 Stanley Cup finals. 2 years ago was the worst, losing it in Game 7. Last year wasn't as bad. They really weren't in the series, but it's going to be interesting. And you guys are right. They got to get off on a good foot. They've got to build on this momentum, because unless I was wrong, they were chanting fire Atkins and Shapiro last year, at the end of last year. And these guys coming into Toronto this year, nobody was expecting anything. We all thought they were on the clock, that if they were lucky to last the whole season, then it was a miracle. But they turned things around. They made some great acquisitions with Jimenez, Varland, Dominguez, Hoffman. They drafted Yasavage, brought him along all the way from Single A. They did great things with renovating the Rogers Center, pumped $350 million into the building over the past 2 seasons. Like, I got to give them their due. Atkins and Shapiro were the guys behind all of that. And as much as I was part of that bandwagon saying that they should get rid of them and bring back the Jays to respectability, you got to tip your hat, because everything that they touch seemed to turn to gold this year. And those guys have earned their rights. It's going to be interesting to see how many years. They're probably going to get 3 to 5 year contracts. So it's going to be interesting what happens with those 2 guys. But now that that's over, now you got the Leafs down the street at Scotiabank on the watch. So they're off to a slow start. So they're all of a sudden brought to the forefront now that the Jays are done for the season. But Guys, any final notes before we go on to the other segment? Schenker, any final notes?
No, but it's going to get interesting here in the next month or so with these free agent talks. So I just hope the Jays don't do anything stupid.
Well, time will tell. Graffer, what are your final thoughts about the Jays?
No, just a good showing, and make some good decisions here in the offseason, and I think they'll be back next year. I think they can win 90 again. Maybe not 94, but I think they can win 90.
Halzer?
Well, to be honest with you, there were some people, my father included among them, who were looking at this playoff run. The only negative about this playoff run is that we're stuck with Atkins and Shapiro for at least another 3 years, because Rogers is going to be kissing their feet because they just made him a whole ton of money.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That's the only downside of this playoff run is we're stuck with Atkins for 3 more years.
Chester?
Yeah, you know what? Thank you, Blue Jays, for making me look wrong. I have no problem with it. I enjoyed every minute of it the last 2-3 months, and anytime you want to look, make me look foolish, go right ahead.
I think there was a lot of us in that boat, so get in line. But guys, thanks so much for being on our trending segment. We wanted to talk about the Blue Jays, and we've all been watching it. And I thought that, Chester actually reached out to me and said, why don't we bring all the guys on? Because we've all been watching it together, and it'll be interesting to hear what everybody has to say.
End Zone and Fantasy. Brought to you by TNT Security Inc., where security meets reliability. Call Todd Schmidt today for a security quote on your concert, dance, sporting, and alcohol event, business, property, or mobile patrol security.
Okay, another great weekend of football. We won't talk about NCAA due to all the time that we spent with the Jays, but we are going to talk about the one game, the premier game on the weekend, the Bills and the Chiefs. My goodness, talk about a potential AFC championship matchup. The Chiefs come into Orchard Park, arguably one of the hottest teams, if not the hottest team in the NFL, and they laid an egg there. You've got a beat up Buffalo defense, and all they did was hold Patrick Mahomes to 44% pass completion, 15 of 34. And the Bills take down the Chiefs 28-21 on Josh Allen's nearly perfect 23 of 26, 273 yards passing, 1 passing TD to Kincaid and 2 running TDs. He was on a mission. Halzer, what did you see with that game?
Well, what I saw was some good defense, and number one on that list is Joey Bosa, who just had a fantastic game, was in Kermit face all game long, man. It was awesome to watch. What a beast he was. There's a meme going out of him sacking Mahomes and then doing the flex, and boy, this is some scary looking tree trunks growing out of his jersey, man. I tell you what. Anyways, not only that, but was the first of many, we hope, career interceptions for the kid Hairston, who they drafted out of Kentucky in the first round and hadn't played due to injury until last week. And in his second game, he threw a blanket on the guy he was covering most of the night, and he looks really, really good. Milano is back. They've lost Oliver for the season. They've lost Taylor Rapp for the season, and they might have lost Hoyt for the season too after waiting 6 games for him to get back. With his suspension for whatever banned substances he was taking. And he played a game and a half, and now it looks like he's out for the year too. So
yeah, it looks like his ACL. So he's done for the season.
So, but at the end of the day, what the real takeaway is the best run defense in the league against the best run offense in the league. And James Cook ran for 115 yards, shoved it right down their throat, got key first downs. Big first down plays that made for short yardages for first downs, kept the offense on the field. So it was a great game. But what I have found in the past is that the best coach in the world is not coaching Buffalo. He's coaching Kansas City, Andy Reid. And the best DC in the world, Spagnuolo, is also with Kansas City. And what's going to happen if they run into each other in the playoffs? They're just going to say, okay, whatever you did well against us, we're just going to take it away. And then they'll have to figure something out that they don't do as well as what they always do. And what is it my old pappy used to say? Don't do what you don't do. Do what you do. But that's what Kansas City does in the playoffs. They make you try and do things that you don't do. So I'm happy about the win, but pardon me if I don't get too excited about beating Kansas City for the 5th time in 6 games in the regular season and still being 0-4 against them in the playoffs.
Exactly.
It's funny you say that because there's a KC radio station that put a tweet out about that saying how the Bills look so good in the regular season, and then they show the records, and all of a sudden there's a fence that says Chiefs January 0-4, or like it's just bring on the Bills, they say in January.
Yep.
But the Bills defense looked good. Like it's a totally different defense than a couple of weeks ago. Like they laid some big hits on Mahomes. They knocked out Kelsey with the big open field hit there in the 4th. So
in the end zone.
Yeah.
On the crossover pattern. Yeah.
And Bishop had a huge game for them too in the secondary. And so, it was a good day. Like I said, it was a huge win. I thought the game was more important for Kansas City than it was for Buffalo. I don't think with that soft division that Buffalo has, even if they don't win the division, I think it's safe to say they'll at least get a wild card spot. But if you come 3rd in that division, in the AFC West I'm talking about, you may not make the playoffs.
No.
Because you've got, looks like the Patriots are for real. They are. I just saw a stat pre-game there about the Pats saying that they were the only team. They only gave up one 50-yard rusher, not 150. They only given up one 50-yard rusher all year. And guess who that was? Josh Allen, not a running back, a quarterback. So they have yet to give up 50 yards to a running back all season until they ran into Bijan on the weekend. So it looks like, and they've got a top 5 scoring offense. So you look at Denver, who keep winning by, actually they look like KC last year, don't they? Where they just keep winning at the buzzer, walk-off wins all year long. The Chargers lost another key piece in Joe Alt. Today I heard that he may have lost him for the season. But they're still really, really good. So if you come 3rd in that division with the Patriots being who they are and the Ravens are pretty much back to what everybody thought they were going to be, it's going to be a race to the finish, man. Keep in mind, for the first time in the league history, after 9 weeks, no one's got less than 2 wins. There isn't a single undefeated or even 1-loss team in the NFL. There are 9 teams with 2 losses after 9 weeks. That's never happened before. Parity is real, and it's costing me money, quite frankly.
You've got the Patriots at 7-2 in the AFC East. The Bills are at 6-2 because they had last week off. They're currently in a wild card position. The Chiefs, on the other hand, they're at 5-4. They're on the outside looking in. If the playoffs started today, they'd be out. They wouldn't have made it. But you've got Denver having a great season in the AFC West, and the Chargers just got to get healthy. Like they've got so many guys that are on Band-Aids right now that it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them. But Josh Allen said after the game that he feels slotted the way he's throwing the ball right now, whatever slotted means. He just said that he wasn't happy with his play before they went into the bye week. They lost to the Jets, and or not the Jets. They had
they lost to the Pats and the Falcons.
Sorry, and
he didn't play well. He's absolutely right.
Yeah, and he just said, I was working on a few things, some mechanics there during the bye week, and he's looking like the Josh Allen of old. But like you said, Halser, unless they get it done in January, all these statistics mean nothing because they're 0-4 with the Chiefs. And even it doesn't matter. Most of them have been at Arrowhead, but last year it was in Orchard Park. And it just doesn't matter. Mahomes will beat you in any alley. So he's got to get over the hump and beat Kansas City in January. So let's
The
get
Bills-
into the
Bills
top.
need home field.
What's that, Schenker?
The Bills need home field. You don't want to play on the road.
Absolutely.
And they
Absolutely.
they got New England coming up again. So they got to hope New England
Big difference
loses.
with this Bills team, though, is that they are the number one run team in the league. And I believe that it's finally at that point. As good as Josh is, you play in probably the most inclement location in America, in Buffalo.
Yeah.
If there's any place that you should have the world's best run game, it's Buffalo. But they've always been all about Josh and throwing the football and him doing his circus act, which is fun to watch. Great theater.
Yeah.
He's my friggin' hero. But at the end of the day, I want to see Buffalo shove the ball down the opponent's throat, and that wins in January.
Yeah.
What's shocking to me is that yesterday they didn't really use their wide receivers. Like Shakir was their only wide out. I think he had 43 yards thrown to him. It was their two tight ends and their running back that they were using. There's talk of them maybe going after a wide receiver before the trade deadline, but they've got to be able to air it out. But when you got two tight ends that you can throw it to and are playing like receivers, that opens up a lot of things for them. But let's get into the top fantasy performers from the past weekend. You got Brock Bowers back from his injury. He only had 3 TDs yesterday. The Las Vegas tight end had 43.3 points. Drake London was also back from injury. Wide receiver with Atlanta, 3 TDs. He had 38.8 points. At the Bears quarterback, Caleb Williams, another 3 TDs, 38.7 points in the 47-42 miracle over the Bengals. I ended up picking up Colson Loveland for my tight end in one of my fantasies, and I was just loving it. Christian McCaffrey, welcome back. He only cost me in my guillotine pool last week. Slouch. He had 2 TDs, 1 run, 1 pass, 34.3 points. T. Higgins from Cincinnati, he had 2 TDs, 33.1 points. The top waiver pickups, people that you should be keeping your eye on for week 10 to slot in. Wide receivers, Torrey Horton, he's only on 5% of people's teams. He's with Seattle. He had 2 TDs this weekend. With Cooper Kupp out with heel and hamstring injuries, you should be thinking of having Horton on your waiver wire. Parker Washington from Jacksonville. He's only on 18% of teams. He's the only healthy wideout for the Jags going into week 10. Tez Johnson, I've talked about him earlier from Tampa. He's on 35% of people's teams. With Evans and Godwin out, they've only got him in is it Shepard? Or
Abuka.
No, the rookie. Abuka. Thank you. For running backs, you've got Isaiah Davis from the Jets. He's on 13% of people's teams. Could be the number 1 guy if the Jets end up trading Breece Hall by the deadline. Then you've got Dylan Sampson from Cleveland. He's on 16% of teams. Speculative pickup. Waiting to hear about Quinshon Judkins' injury report. And then, as I was saying, tight ends, two guys you want to be picking up. Colson Loveland, he had 2 TDs in the thriller over the Bengals. Cole Kmet, he's out with concussion syndrome. So you've got Loveland. He was their first-round pick this year, too. So they always had high things expected of him. And Harold Fannin Jr., I've talked about him. He's on 50% of the rosters. He's the number 1 tight end ad from Cleveland if you're looking for a tight end for on your team. So that's it for End Zone and Fantasy. Let's hear from our sponsors, and then we'll bring in Chris Chessell back again with Chester's Perch.
You can't put a price on a good time. Chester's Perch, the Lincoln's Report, brought to you by the Boathouse Stratford, located at 30 York Street. Come see us down at the Avon River for pedal boats, kayaks, canoes, Juliet boat tours, and bike rentals. Enjoy great food and ice cream at the Riverside Patio Restaurant. Pet friendly and operated by the Her family since 1965.
Welcome back, Chester. We're here with Chris Chessell again, the Lincoln's insider. Chester, what did you see with the Lincolns? You guys canceled Friday night's home game. You didn't want to end up missing game 6. Everybody thought that was going to be the night, but you couldn't go to the well twice. And so the Lincolns ended up going to Komoka on Saturday night. What did you see there?
Yeah, well, I didn't go to Komoka, nor did I even watch the game. But I did reach out to Spencer Seymour today. We had a brief conversation, and I asked him for a favor to give me a bit of an insight on the game. So big shout out to Spencer, who is the radio broadcaster for St. Mary's Radio, who does a fantastic job with the Lincoln games. So by looking at the box score, I kind of figured, you could kind of get a vibe for what happened in the game, but we got 3 goals in the first period, came out flying, and it was really good to see three rookies get their first goals of the season. So Declan Reddy got his first and second of the season, and the other one was Luke McMillan, second-year player in the Go, but first year with the Lincolns. He got his first of the season. So really good start. The second period, we ran into a bit of penalty trouble. Komoka got a couple power play goals. Got her to 3-2, and then according to Spencer, the Lincolns woke up about halfway through the period and finished the period really strong, and then dominated the third period as well. And all in all, that's 2 points they got to get, right? Komoka's a better team than they were the last 4 or 5 years. There's no doubt about it. They're going to make you work a lot harder than they used to, but at the end of the day, that's a game you got to get 2 points, whether it's on the road or not. You got to beat Komoka, and kudos to the boys for that. Von Bar got the start once again down there, and it was solid. 26 saves out of 29, yeah, so not bad. And then, just a couple comments from Spencer. He thought the Hodgkinson-Elzinga line, they teamed up with Declan Reddy, the rookie, and he said the three of them together looked really good. And Declan filled the Cohen Bidgood kind of role, getting in front of the net, causing a little bit of chaos and stuff. So that's good to see. That's something that we definitely can use. So that's good news. And speaking of that, we do have some breaking news out of Lincoln land today. We picked up a new player. His name is, oh my good Lord, I had it up. Oliver Lacko. Okay, so this is a handful. Oliver Lacko is from Germany, but he's got split citizenship with Slovakia and Germany, and he was playing in Idaho for the Falls Spud Kings. Now he only had a couple games under his belt down there, but what can we tell you? He's 6'1", 185 pounds, so he's got some size, and the word on him is he's a net front presence, he's a two-way center, and he is a workhorse. So I like all 3 of those. Those sound great to me, Halser. I think you'll agree that we could use all 3 of those things. And he does have some really good numbers offensively if you look into his international play. All right, he played with a Slovakian U18 team and also a German U17 team. So he's got a couple years of 30, 40 points in 30, 35 games. So a point a game click on some of those teams as a youngster. So not sure what we're getting. I'm sure the Lincolns have had their eye on him and gotten some insight from their contacts down in Idaho, but excited to see him.
Where would Coach Bradley or the Lynx GM come up with a guy like that? Like, how would that all kind of come to fruition? Do you have any idea how?
Haven't heard too much yet. Again, I reached out to Spencer for some some scoops, and I've given you everything that he's given me. So I'm going to guess those situations. Usually, a kid's unhappy. Looking at what I see, he's only played 3 games down there this year. So maybe he was shopping himself around a little bit too, right? And maybe he got a hold of the right person who got a hold of somebody down, whether it was Powers or somebody in Kingston, and they passed it on. Him and Jeff got together and chatted, and who knows? I'm sure there was some video involved, and it's exciting. You know what? We the team's been playing really well the last month and a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still a missing piece or two for sure if we want to compete with the Cambridges and the Chathams and that. So I'm willing to see what we got. Let's try it out, and we'll see what happens.
Halser, what do you think that the Lincolns are like? Obviously, you can't replace the top line, the Milton Magicians. What do you think? Like, obviously, everyone would love to fall into a number one sniper, a stud defenseman. What do you think that with what the Lincolns have right now that they need to go out and get, or do they have all the pieces that they need and maybe just do some a minor adjusting?
Well, I don't think they need a whole lot. They need a couple of things. Number one, they need Lincoln Moore to get back healthy. He missed the game again Saturday night. That's 2 weeks he's been out. But if they're playing well, they're winning. They're not playing really strong opponent. Would he have played against Chatham? Probably not. If he didn't play against Kamoka, you don't rush a guy like that back. You wait till he's 100%. Make sure he's good to go when he gets there. But they need somebody of his ilk. That's what they always seem to find. And, if it sounds like Bidgood's having success this year and he may not make it back, have him drop in your lap halfway through the season when it gets to the trade deadline and London, as always, loads up, getting ready for a Memorial Cup run. They send back players like Bidgood to their junior B teams. So it'd be nice to have somebody a little more, they've got a couple of wingers that are good, talented, but not really get in there and forecheck types. Somebody who fits Bradley's game is what they're looking for, I think. I think otherwise the D looked pretty good. I like the Mack brothers, McGregor and McMillan. I love those guys. They play well together. I don't know where they're from exactly, but they sound like they're really good. Anyways, and the goaltending is great. In fact, shout out to Vaughn Barr, who was the goaltender of the month in the Go. I believe it was 4-0 with a 150 and 949 save percentage with a shutout there. So not bad for a 16-year-old. So I like what they're showing. They just, you never have too much depth when you're running up against teams like Chatham. If you're going to play Chatham in the playoffs, you need three lines that can score, and I'm not sure they're quite there. As much as I like the team, somebody big that can score, and that's a tall order. They've got guys that are big, and they got guys that can score, but only Lincoln Moore and Hodkinson really fit both those bills. They need one more guy like that.
So according to last Tuesday's, the power rankings come out tomorrow morning. They come out Tuesday mornings. So after our last podcast, the Lincolns moved down one spot, even though you guys are still on a roll. You guys moved down one spot to number 5 due to your loss in London, I'm assuming. The other teams, here we are, through October 26th, Cambridge went up 1. They're now number 1. Elmira went down from 1 down to 2. St. Catharines is moved down from 2 to 3. Chatham is still at 4, no change. St. Mary's moved down 1 to number 5. Stratford has no change. And yeah, it's tight at the top, but what are you thinking about with games coming up? You've got a big home and home series, Chester, with the Waterloo Siskins. You got the Siskins at the Pyramid there Friday night, and then you guys go back to Waterloo on Sunday on the big ice. What are you thinking is going to come down on this weekend?
Well, I'm looking forward to actually watching 2 games this weekend, and they should be both very, very entertaining games. Waterloo looks like they're a really solid team again this year. They gave us a heck of a go last year in the first round of the playoffs, and a lot of those guys are back. So I think it'll be a spirited affair, both games. Going down there on Sunday on the bigger ice is always interesting too, but I think we have a team built to play on that kind of ice. I'm not too concerned about that. I just think overall the competitiveness of the weekend should be really good. It'll be a good measuring stick for sure. And then you follow that up after, with 2 games with Listowel coming in on the following weekend. So the next 4 games are going to be really interesting. It can either go really well, or we'll see how it goes. But I was just quickly on that Oliver Lacko pickup. I do see here that he did play 2 seasons with the Ontario Hockey Academy U18. So that might be where the pipeline came for Mr. Bradley and Mr. Powers to get a hold of him and to see him in the past. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him. Hopefully he's in the lineup Friday night. I'm sure he will be. So
Yeah.
it should be a good weekend.
Hopefully we get both teams healthy, the Lincolns and the Warriors. We've got big game coming up next month, December 11th. And I think it's a Thursday night, if I'm not mistaken, the first game between the Warriors and the Lincolns in St. Mary's. So, but I was looking at that. I was going, why don't they play on the Friday night like they usually do? But I could be wrong. But yeah, that's going to be exciting. Hopefully both teams, hopefully we can get Jonas back for the Warriors. Going to need him to, as they come into town, to play a strong Lincolns team. So yeah. Good luck this weekend, Chester, with the Waterloo Siskins, home and home. And always appreciate you coming on, and good luck, and we'll talk to you soon, Chester.
All right, boys. Have a good week. We'll see you on the weekend. Take care.
All right, Chris Chessell, Lincoln's Insider. We'll be back, and we'll have Dave Graffer with Chew on That.
Chew on That with Graffer. Brought to you by Work Pub and Eatery. Get a taste of tradition and charm in our family-run pub. From hearty dishes to cold drinks, we've got everything to make your visit memorable. Located at 75 Wellington Street, Stratford.
Fellas.
All right, we're back with Dave Graff. Long time no see.
Yes, guys. Good segment on the links. Nice pickup there by the sounds of it.
Yeah, it's always nice to get some extra bodies, and especially a big body in front of the net. That doesn't hurt the Lincoln's chances at all. So
yeah, for sure.
But Graffer, great segment last week talking about abuse in umpiring and youth refereeing. That went over really well. I got a lot of DMs from people saying that was great that you brought that stuff to light, people whose kids have personally gone through it. So that was awesome. And talking with you for tonight's segment, you wanted to build on that. What are your thoughts about what you wanted to continue with?
Well, I wanted to kind of turn it from umpiring to coaching, to be quite frank. I don't know, you can see my background there. That's the 2003 boys that I coached a lot of the way up. And Halsey's had the pleasure of coaching them as older kids. I think they're senior rookie in that picture. That's going back 12 or 13 years. But, that's kind of the age I wanted to focus on, and up to, maybe up through the Bantam type age, the U14, that type age, because we all know, just like a young umpire, young players have that vulnerability, and that, their knowledge of the game and, just their knowledge of life in general is developing at such a pace, and so important to be, real good leaders and mentors with kids at those ages. It's different, when Halls has them now in the U22, obviously it's different. They're grown men. You're treating them quite differently, and, it's man-to-man kind of thing. And it's quite different. So, I go back to when they were young, and what I'll get to what I'm trying to get across here, when I want people to kind of chew on and, not kind of be that guy that I certainly was at times, several times. And so many coaches are not on purpose, not, just that's the competitiveness in us. And, I use this one example. It's a clip you guys might've seen where, guys with kids about this age, and they're lined up after practice, and they're having to talk, and, a bunch of the dads are lined up behind the fence, and, the coach says, we're in a rep sport now. And, if your dad's one of those dads that said, oh, just come to the park and have fun. It doesn't matter if you win or lose, just come to the park to have fun. Well, if your dad's one of those guys, your dad's a loser. Right. And, it sounds weird, but I agree with the guy. And the only reason I agree with the guy is you can come to the park with the intention of winning, but you can still come to the park with the intention of developing, learning the game, getting better, whether you do end up winning or losing, but you still come to the park wanting to win. And I think I was always, maybe I was always a little bit too, as a coach, and I don't know, Halls or Shanker, you guys and Razor, you guys have coached. I was probably always a little bit more to the win at all costs. But, there's, with the rep sport, there's also a fine line. And, you want to develop the kids all through the season. My theory was you develop them equally all through the season in league games and whatnot. You do get to the playoffs, you get to the ICBAs, you get to the OBAs and that. It's a rep sport. You're playing to win. You need to do your best, in my opinion, to A, develop the kids, and B, you want to be fair to the 12th and 13th kid on the team, but you got to be fair to the first and second kid on the team. If they're the best players, they're going to play more when the championship's on the line. I think that's just fact in a rep sport. I go back years ago. I think it was with this group, maybe the year after this, and we lost to Chatham in a tournament in the final, and it must have been Mosquito because I think everybody still batted. And it was the one kid's turn to bat, and one of the bench coaches comes on and said, "We can't get so-and-so to let go of the fence." Chatham had a kid that was about 5 foot whatever at the time, throwing first or second year pitch and throwing BBs. And I had to go down to the kid, and I eventually got his hands off the fence, and he went up and he stood at the back of the batter's box and was all timid and everything. So I get a call a couple of days later. We're going to have a practice up at Cirque. I get a text from the father, says, "Can I talk to you at practice tonight?" I said, "Oh, for sure." And I'm thinking it was to discuss how to alleviate his child's fears and blah, blah, blah. So I bring Todd Hind, again, guy that coached with me all the way up, great guy. I bring him with me. So we should go too deep here just in case, right? We get up there and the father says to me, "Yeah, I was just wondering when so-and-so was going to pitch and play shortstop." And we looked at each other, and Todd and I just looked at each other like we couldn't believe what we're hearing. And I said, "Well, so I just said, well, sorry, but we're trying to just get your child to go up to bat right now." So,
right.
Again, so you got to keep in mind that the parents and everything don't always see the way you see things either, right? So, and this kid did end up pitching a little bit, and he did okay, and we did develop him a little bit. But, and I go back to, some of the other things. One time we have a Japanese kid that was an import for us, playing for us, and he ended up being quite the ball player, but he got into a little bit of a rut, and, it got to the point where we had some tough conversations, and, Todd Hines' famous lines to me were, "Graffer, you can't say that," right? Because I would, sometimes I would speak my best Japanese speak because you think you're relating to the kid like that, right? Like, jump off mound, get ball, throw first, Graffer, you can't say that, right? And, there's that part of it where you're not trying to be inappropriate, but you are, right? So I certainly feel, and on a serious note, I always was a firm believer. I was not good at it, and Halls will attest to this. I was not good at it. Was when mistakes are made, honest mistakes are made, and there's good learning opportunities. Take the deep breath. Again, take the higher road. Take the deep breath. Wait till the end of the inning or the end of a game. Sit with the child, and I'll bring up my own kid. I mean, he got so much undeserved treatment from myself as a coach because it was an easy, and it was wrong with me. Like he doesn't know how proud he was. A good little hitter. Halls knows that. One of the best defensive players in that group all the way up, always getting timely hits. And I think if we treated him fairly like everybody else, or had a better demeanor with the teaching moments, he would realize how he would realize a lot easier how proud I am of him and all those kids. Like, I love that group, great group of kids. And I think most of them and the parents know I had the best interest of the kids in mind. It's just how you approach it. And I'm just saying this because I just want people out there to be that coach that, take the learning the opportunities, the teaching experiences, and don't, publicly point it out to the kid, be that yeller, I guess, right? We all know coaches that yell and scream. And I think we need to get more away from that, especially kids between the ages of 8 and 15, say, and take them aside at the end of an inning, at the end of a game. You take it and use it as a group learning experience. You know, you don't even have to single out a certain player. Just take the situation that happened and use it as a teaching experience after the game or at the next practice or whatnot. You know, and just that's really all I got, guys, tonight. It's kind of just further on from, you know, the discussion with the umpires and the shortage of officials because of treatment of those officials. We need to treat the kids kind of the same way and not outwardly criticize kids and yell at kids, but take the teaching and learning experiences and do it properly. Do it in a team setting afterwards if it works. Maybe it works better for some kids to take them aside and have a one-on-one, right? But just, and that's really what I want people to chew on, especially coaches out there that might feel they were kind of like I was at times and some of the other guys that I coached with and coached against. Maybe, you know, they'll take it as a tone it back a bit and do it the other way versus the, you know, the yelling and screaming and that kind of method of trying to communicate with players, because the other way is a lot better in my opinion. So I open it up to you guys for opinion.
Well, definitely, like when, especially like you and Halser, when you've coached the same group of kids for so many years, if you're just constantly yelling at them, they're just going to tune you out, right? And
right.
there are moments where sometimes they need a good tongue lash, but you better have a whole bunch more tools in your toolbox. Otherwise, like I said, they're just going to tune you guys out, and they're just going to dread coming to the ball diamond or the hockey rink if you're a hockey coach, right? And so you've really got to read people, and I hate to say it, but not everyone is always treated equally. Some kids can take, you know, being talked to differently than other kids. I remember Jimmy Johnson with the Dallas Cowboys talking. There was a player, a fringe player. He fell asleep in a team meeting, and Jimmy Johnson waived him the next day. And the press was asking him. They said, "Jimmy, if that was Troy Aikman, your star quarterback, that fell asleep, would you waive him too?" And he goes, "Let me tell you something." He goes, "If Troy Aikman fell asleep in one of our meetings, I'd walk up to him and I'd tap him on the shoulder and I'd say, 'Troy, wake up. Troy Aikman's our star player. He's not going anywhere. That other guy, he was a fringe player. I don't treat everyone the same.'" No, I'm not saying that kids shouldn't be treated equally, but you can't talk to kids all the same way. Some people are snowflakes. Some kids, you know, have a thick skin, right? I'm sure your son has heard you go off a few times, and he's probably got a thicker skin than some of his buddies, right? So,
you
know, at the end of the day, you just got to use common sense and remember, hey, these are kids, and we're all trying to win. I think all five of us, or well, four of us here can all allude to, we all want to win. Consistent loser,
no.
You know, there's go and coach house league, right? If you're coaching rep ball or hockey, you want to win. That's just
you win the right way.
That's right.
And I think that's as a coach, that's the way you need to do it. We talked about Bishop last week from Kitchener with the umpiring experience that Halls was doing the game and I was convening the tournament. Who wants to win that way?
Yeah.
Like, you know, win the right way. Like, do the right things and win, not win at all costs per se.
Yeah, exactly. Shanker, any thoughts?
Yeah, I just think with the younger group, you can scream and yell for a couple of years at them, and that's fine. Then next year, like, oh, we're short kids. Jimmy, Johnny, and Timmy they didn't come back. Why aren't they coming back? Because their skin is, they can't take it, right? And I agree. I coached hockey. I've coached baseball. I hate losing. Everyone hates losing, but you just deliver your message the right way when you lose and try to keep your players engaged as much as you can and keep them positive. Because once they check out, you're done.
Yeah,
they don't want to play. So I agree with Graffer 100%.
Halser, what have you seen over your years of coaching?
Well, I mean, there's some similarities between coaching and parenting. You can't treat all of your kids the same. And that's not just about how you talk to them. Have to you also have to temper expectations from one kid to the next. Here's the kind of person that they are. Get the best out of that person. And that's, some guys only have one way of talking to people, and they don't make very good coaches. Coaches are first and foremost communicators and motivators and nurturers. And that's what they need to be. And it sounds really soft, nurturing. What are you talking about? These guys, absolutely, all players, guys, girls, young people need to be nurtured. They need boundaries. They need to be taught right from wrong, but they also need to be nurtured on a regular basis. So when you have the opportunity, find them doing something right and make sure you tell them you see it. That way, when you have a criticism later on, then they'll respect it more. They'll say, you know what, he gave me heck for doing this today, but in the second inning, he told me what a good job I was doing on the other thing. So that's number one. Another thing that I picked up actually when I was a young man learning, like just cutting my teeth in business, I read a book called The 1 Minute Manager, and it really helped me out. And you never take too much from any one self-help book, but one thing that I took from it: compliment in public, criticize in private. And one thing I love about Stratford Stadium is that it's got a nice open concept around the dugout. So when you've got something good to say, you can say it nice and loud and everybody will hear it. It also has a locker room. So if I've got something to say, I had a fourth-year kid last year who dogged it down to first base. And I said, come here, dude, I'd like to have a word with you in the locker room. And I took him in by myself and I tore a strip off him. And again, I'm 22, but it's not about the message. You understand? It's about the delivery of the message. You can deliver any message you want as long as you know how to deliver it. And that's what the important thing is. And that's what you owe the team as a coach. You have to be able to deliver the message. And if you have kids that don't take the message the way you're delivering it, then find a new way to deliver it. And that's what successful coaches do.
Yeah. And I think a good example that I got, guys, here, this is the last example I got, more to what, Shanker and Halls have said is, we were back in, I think we're still at Dufferin, so we're probably in Pee Wee. And the young Boersma kid had come up from the Tier 2 team to play with us. And as Holly knows too, he got to be quite the thrower and one of our best pitchers up until the first year of junior or so, and helped us win a championship in Tier 1 18U. He came up to play with us, and just a super kid, quiet kid, and I got the Daggle kid, I think, thrown at the time. I can't remember who it was, maybe not Daggle, but one of the kids where you could be vocal with, and you could say, like we're playing Kitchener Tier 1 baseball, and we got a lead on him in the later innings, and he's out there just not throwing the way he needs to be throwing. So I call time, and you can go out and kind of quietly rip a strip off a kid like that and try to get him back in the game. Then I go over to the bullpen, and the Boersma kid's warming up. First game he's played with us, and you can tell he's nervous, but you got to take the other approach. He's a quieter kid. You just kind of say, hey, Heath, how's it going? How's the arm? You watch a few pitches. He's throwing strikes. Okay, everything's cool. So anyways, we end up having to pull whoever was in, and the space is loaded, nobody out. And I called Ethan out to come and pitch. And I think maybe by that time, it might even have been the next inning, he'd gone out to center field, and I called him in from center field to pitch. And I hand him the ball, and his hand is shaking like a leaf. His right hand is shaking like a leaf. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh my fucking God, what have I done? Bringing this Tier 2 kid in, and bases loaded, nobody out. Well, if he doesn't go strikeout, fly ball and get out of the inning, and we end up winning doesn't give up a run, and we win the ball game. Right? And just it's so good to see, the perfect example of how you can deal differently with different kids and have a good outcome. And it's been a good learning experience on the fly for a couple kids, right? And that's just good positives you can take out from coaching, right? So that's all I got. Thanks, guys.
Excellent. All right. Well, thanks for that, Graffer. And we'll give a shout out to the 40s down at work.
Boys at work.
Make sure you go down there and say hi to 40 for us. And thanks again for their support. And Graffer, thanks again for all of your information. We really appreciate it. It's really hitting home with parents and everyone listening to the podcast. So
Yeah, everybody be that good, Coach. Thanks, guys, and thanks, 40 and the guys at work.
all right. Dave Graff from
See you
Chew
guys.
on That.
Buzzin' with Clarko, a weekly roundup of the Stratford Warriors with Jason Clark. Brought to you by Nick Hishin of Indy Mortgage, the independent mortgage company serving customers from coast to coast with access to well over 50 lending options available. Give Nick a call as he works for you, not the banks. FISRA license number 12403.
I just want to give a shout out to Nick Hishin, local boy doing mortgages in Guelph and in Stratford. Nick Hishin, really appreciate him sponsoring Buzzin' with Clarko. Even though we couldn't have Clarko on this week, Nick does a fantastic job of supporting the Stratford Warriors and his community. If you have mortgages coming due where you want to refinance, or even people that are looking to get into the market, talk to Nick. He can go and work with any of the banks or any of the other A lenders that he has access to. So Nick Hishin with Indy Mortgages. All right, we're going to hear from a couple more of our sponsors. And then I also have a big announcement to make with Bick Heating and Cooling.
Railside Organics, Stratford's first and only Indigenous-owned and operated organic dispensary, located at 29 Monteith Avenue, serving those in need with holistic remedies. Come say hi to Curly and his staff and see why everyone is recommending Railside Organics. Vreda Veld Painting, servicing Stratford and surrounding area, with over 20 years of experience to help you with all your painting and decorating needs, on time and on budget. Call Bick Heating and Cooling for all your heating, cooling, and plumbing needs. Proud Rude Pro partner, BickHeatCool.com or 226-921-4848. Your home team specialists, taking care of Stratford and area since 2013.
I wanted to give a shout out to Bick Heating and Cooling. They were so kind enough to give us 30 passes towards the next 15 home regular season games. And so what I thought we would do is have a little bit of fun. And we're going to give out 2 regular season game passes for the next 15 home games for the Stratford Warriors. All you need to do is go on to YouTube to Unmuzzled Sports Podcast and click subscribe. Also, you need to follow Bick Heating and Cooling on Facebook and Instagram, and just take a pic or a video of you doing this and DM us on Facebook Messenger at Unmuzzled Sports Podcast. And so here's a picture of the tickets, the passes that we're going to hand out. And so we're going to be doing 2 each home game, and we'll even deliver it for you, folks. So I'll put it on our social medias as well. That's very kind, once again, to the good folks at Bick Heating and Cooling. Great sponsor for us, and it's great for them to give back. And it's probably going to be a parent and their child go, but yeah, every little bit helps. So thanks again to Bick Heating and Cooling for donating 2 passes for the next 15 home games. And so just make sure, once again, go on to our YouTube channel, Unmuzzled Sports Podcast, and click subscribe. And then go on Bick Heating and Cooling's Facebook and Instagram pages and just follow them. You don't have to do a whole lot, folks. Just do those 2 things. And then just to show us that you did it, either take pictures or take a video and DM us through our Unmuzzled Sports Podcast Facebook Messenger. So thanks again for watching episode 5. Guys, do we have any final words before we go? Shanker?
I'm gonna rub this in a bit on Leaf fans. They're down 3-0 here, and about
Uh-oh.
4 minutes into the third, and they've only established 11 shots on net. So it's not very good to start the
Yikes.
night. But
Yikes.
maybe I shouldn't have spoke too soon because Austin Matthews just scored. So 3-1 Pittsburgh.
He had a nice goal Saturday night there in Philly. He was getting back to shooting again. He was getting a little too fancy and needs to shoot more. He's got a world-class shot, and the only way he's going to get goals is to do that quick release. So, Halzer, any final words?
Well, I got a couple of shout outs. First one goes to Cam Little of the Jacksonville Jaguars, who sets an otherworldly field goal record of 68 yards.
Crazy.
Now, as we were running the ads, I just watched Brandon Aubrey of the Cowboys kick one from 68 that he missed wide left. Looked like he had enough leg. He just missed left. So shout out to Cam Little for pounding one in from somewhere outside of Tokyo. And the other shout out, I just want to give my boy Quinn Apple a shout out. He's one of my players. He sent me a nice text this week saying he's listening to the show, enjoying it. He's down at school and take care of his own business there. So shout out to you, Quinner. Looking forward to you seeing at the Christmas workout this year.
Awesome, Quinn. Appreciate the positive feedback. So we're just really humbled, like I said last week, with all the positive comments and even the negative. We're big boys, right? Let us know how we can improve the show. I've had a lot of people compliment how we're talking about college football. We're going to get into college hockey. And now that I wanted to hear a little bit about Clarko. We'll talk to him next week. Nelson Emerson was down in Bowling Green, and I wanted to get some input from Clarkey when they were down there last weekend. And they've got 3 NHL sons playing down there. You've got Emerson's boy, Rob Blake, and Scott Niedermayer's boys all playing down there. So it'll be interesting to get some input from Clarkey when he's back next week. So for Ian Schenk and Brian Hawley, I'm Gary Ray. Thanks so much for tuning in to episode 5 of the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast. Peace.
See you, everyone.